Yeah, I don't know what I expected. Thank you for 100K. It's a little bit more than that now, but I have no idea how this happened, so forgive me for being a little late with this one. As is tradition on YouTube, I wanted to do a Q&A because I figured it'd be fun to animate the answers, and so I can answer some frequently asked questions. Here to help me is Gimberly.
Hello.
I figured she could be here to help me read out the questions. So without further ado...
So what was your first...
I don't want to animate a bunch of lip sync, so... Thank you.
So what was your first animation?
I've been animating since I was a baby, so I don't think I have access to my actual first animation, but I remember drawing frames in Microsoft Paint and then putting them together in Windows Movie Maker, which in retrospect is a hilariously intense way of doing things. But this sent me down an extremely stupid rabbit hole where I wanted to dig up the earliest animation of mine that I could find, and I managed to dig up, of all things, my Neopets profile from when I was a kid. And I found this. Very epic. I'll post the rest of the old stuff I found over on Patreon.
Are you going to do more short films?
Sure. All the short films on my channel are from college, and it's a little easier to make them when you have the structure and expectations college gives you. When you do it yourself, the only person keeping yourself in check is you. So it's easy to get impatient or frustrated with how long something is taking. But I really love making them, so I'll definitely do more someday, especially now that there's more of a guaranteed audience for it. Also, something like Maplewood was basically my first big 3D project, so I'd love to make another 3D short film using everything I've learned since making this one.
At what point in your journey to become a 3D animation artist did those really tough concepts just click?
Honestly, whenever I started rigging my own characters from scratch, 3D started to click for me, which was right about when I started working on Maplewood. Learning how to rig from the ground up teaches you a lot about how a computer thinks and makes everything feel more like a puzzle you're trying to solve and less like a magic box you're pulling animation out of. Doing a video on rigging is very high on my list for pretty much exactly this reason, because my hope is to make a video about rigging that helps it click in the same way it did for me so many years ago.
Do you plan on making more commentary videos, analyzing animated films or directors?
Analyzing animated films was actually meant to be the whole point of this channel before I got sidetracked teaching animation, so I definitely want to come back to it. But to make more analysis videos like the Henry Selick one, it kind of has to be the right subject, because I don't want to make videos where I just say, this movie's really good for 10 minutes. If you're watching a video about a movie you like, I don't need to tell you how good the movie is. You clicked on the video because you like the movie. So I want to teach you something new about why it's good, and that part sometimes takes a little bit more time to figure out.
If you hit 1 million subscribers, what would you do?
A lot of things. I could probably hire people to help with the channel at that point, but I'm careful not to let the soul of the channel disappear by bringing on too much additional help. My hope is to always do the big tutorials by myself and just get help with the analysis videos and maybe Gimberly's animation. But honestly, if I had the chance and 1 million subscribers let me do this, I'd do what Toby Fox does and just do my own thing with the channel, but use my earnings to pay other people to make really cool stuff in the meantime. I have this belief that if you just pay an artist rent for a year, you can get something really beautiful out of it, and I want to be that guy.
Would you consider making more characters to join the cast in the future?
Yes, but Gimberly V2 comes out first.
How do you feel about the current state of animation online?
Considering TV animation is going through a huge meltdown right now, I'd actually say there's no better time to get into internet animation. I'd say things are going pretty well right now, considering how many independently animated shows are doing well. And I feel like it's only going to get better as long as TV and film executives refuse to greenlight anything that isn't a reboot. They're creating a hole in the market that's being filled in by independent animation. Ages ago, you had to send a VHS by mail into a TV network or a film festival for a chance they might be interested in what you made. But now you can just upload it. Nothing's stopping you. You can just download a program like Blender and start today. It's seriously the best time for independent animation ever.
Soft body physics on a baguette.
Don't say I ever did nothing for you guys.
Did you have any YouTube experience before starting this channel?
I do have one video that has over 3.3 million views where I put SpongeBob music over that useless Juicero juicer, and I just did that as a joke and I didn't really follow it up with anything. But other than that, no, this is my first go at it.
What's the most fun you've had on an animation project?
Probably Rhythm Heaven Reanimated. I did 3 scenes for it: Munchie Monk, Love Rap, and Bonadori. And then we followed it up with Karate Man Reanimated. Short animations like these are super fun because they force a lot of creative decisions and problem solving out of me that I wasn't expecting. Sometimes I even kind of wish I did a 4th entry, honestly.
Hey, you're the guy that posted like 8 different entries to the Rhythm Heaven Reanimated project, right?
No.
What's the best way for someone with no experience to start 3D modeling and animating, i.e. best software, tutorials, etc.?
I want to make an actual video about this, but if you're in the United States, the best way to learn, and the way I learned all my 3D stuff, is by lynda.com, and you can use it for free through your library. Quick disclaimer, it's called LinkedIn Learning now because Microsoft bought it and renamed it, but don't let that fool you. It's normally a paid service, but in the US, your library probably already pays for it. All you need is a library card. You can learn 3D animation, Blender, Maya, all sorts of stuff, and support your local library doing it. The easiest way to get started with that is to Google your city's library plus lynda.com. It's seriously how I learned almost everything I did when I was starting out, and libraries want you to use it because it keeps their funding from getting cut. And libraries are super cool. Besides that, if you're outside the US, just do the donut.
Do you suggest Maya or Blender for new users?
Blender. But pretty much all 3D programs are the same underneath the hood. It's just the workflow that's different.
How do you organize your projects? And how do you wrap up projects?
So after I finished my thesis film, I wrote an article about the process of making that film that goes into way more depth on organization and file structure than I can do here. And I'm still pretty proud of how I organize everything for that film. The link for that will be in the description. But for Doodley, it's actually a lot simpler than that. But at the same time, it's a little different from most people because of how I make my videos. I can't really explain only pre and post production without explaining the rest, so I'll quickly go over each step that goes into making a video. A project starts by giving it a 3-letter code. For example, this video's code is QNA. This shortens your file names and doesn't tie the project to a video title that might change. Create a short list of goals, ideas, and examples, which I track all in Notion. Write out a script that hits all the beats I wanted from my notes. Read out the voiceover in my bedroom because the acoustics are really good in there. Cut up the voiceover, taking out pauses and bad line reads. And I try not to mix 2 takes together because I tend to go crazy keeping track of which take is which. Start with an Adobe Premiere project template that has all the graphics I need, including the window, music credits, checker background, placeholder Doodley and Gimberly, and all of JFu's music. This little window graphic is set up so that I can just drop a clip in by replacement, and then I just change the credits. And these Doodley and Gimberly placeholders exist so that I can place them while I'm editing, and then they get removed after I animate the video. After the whole video is edited, it enters a picture lock where I don't shift anything around, so nothing gets desynced later. So this is pretty much the final edit. Add a timecode and export the whole thing as a JPEG sequence so I can load it into Maya. Export the voiceover and load that into Maya, and link it up to Doodley's mouth so his lip sync is automatically generated. Animate the whole thing. Fun fact, whenever Doodley and Gimberly aren't on screen, I just move them out of the way. Once the animation is done, render everything on a transparent background, bring that animation into Premiere, take out my placeholder Doodley and Gimberly, and bada bing bada boom, video done. There's not a whole lot of post-production involved, because when the video hits that picture lock in editing, it's pretty much done, I just need to animate it. It's kind of a weird way to make videos, editing the whole video and then doing my animation, but it works well for me, I think. By the way, I do all of this alongside working a full-time job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, so if videos take a little while to come out, shut up.
What's your process when modeling a character? Do you plan out the design beforehand and then start modeling, or do you make the character as you're modeling?
Always start with a turnaround, where you draw the character from the front and side. You can draw it yourself, or you can commission someone else to draw it, but it helps keep your character looking natural when you have something to reference as you model.
Are you a Pokemon card collector? If so, which card in your collection is your favorite?
I don't, but I'll use this as an excuse to mention that I collect Magic the Gathering cards. My favorite card in my own collection is probably Tamio the Moonsage, but my actual favorite card of all time is probably Fling. It literally lets you throw a creature at your opponent's face. I love it.
Where did the name Doodley come from?
Street Fighter. Basically, I mained Dudley in Street Fighter 4, and I liked calling him Doodley, and then that was my username online for a long time. There's even an old Minecraft skin for Dudley under the name Doodley. Look, that's me, 12 years ago. Around 2018, I started going by my real name online because it was good for freelance work, but when I decided to start this YouTube channel, I was worried people would forget how to spell my name when they wanted to find me later. So I figured Doodley would fit really well as a name because he looks like a doodle, even though the origin of that name is a British boxer from Street Fighter.
If Gimberly could ever talk, what would be your ideal voice for her?
In all seriousness though, Gimberly's currently voiced by my fiancée Melanie.
Hi!
She's not a professional voice actor or anything, but I feel like her voice fits Gimberly pretty well. That said, if I had to choose a voice actor for her, I think she should have sort of a sporty voice. Christina V fits that pretty well.
But in the name of Mars, I'll chastise you!
But she can do basically any voice on the planet.
He'll be just fine. Unless he dies.
What pushed you to make a channel based around 3D animation, both for teaching and appreciating it?
So it's kind of a combination of a few things. One was that I was frankly kind of frustrated with how people talked about animation online, and I felt like part of that was because people didn't know how it was made. Not that you need to know the nitty-gritty of how something is made in order to appreciate it, but maybe if you at least knew the basic fundamentals, you could understand what specifically you liked or disliked about animation and be able to discuss it in a more constructive way. Two is that I also felt like everyone making tutorials online always tied it to a specific program like Blender or Flash when they didn't always need to. Those tutorials are still very valuable and should exist, but 90% of art and animation isn't tied to a specific program. So I wondered if I could get people in the door first by teaching them the fundamentals without tying it to a specific program. Three is that I've always been really intrigued by videos that can teach you something you would never be interested in otherwise, and how hyper-specific those topics can get. Speedrun history videos, for example, or HBomberGuy's Pathologic video, it made me realize that the power of storytelling is so strong that you can teach people basically anything if you make it entertaining. And when combined with a platform that just throws recommended videos at you, I suddenly felt like I was able to teach people who love animation but aren't animators how the animation they love was made.
Is animation hard?
Animation's as hard as you want it to be. It's just one frame after another. You choose how many frames you want to make and how complex or simple those frames are. It can be a difficult, time-consuming process, but only if you want it to be. And if you mainly just want to tell a story, do an animatic instead. You only have to draw the frames necessary to tell the story you're burning to tell, without a ton of time spent on animation. Or if you're more of an illustrator, animate a motion comic and focus on art quality and framing. Animation is a vast medium that molds itself to whatever you want out of it. It's good to be ambitious, but don't let it stop you entirely. The most important thing here is to just start making stuff. Think smaller, and then start smaller than that. The big, ambitious projects can come another day when you're more experienced. Anyone can cook. It's up to you to start. Okay, that's all the questions I wanted to answer, but if you have any other burning questions that weren't covered in this video, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer any questions I can after this video is released. But I do have one more thing to do as a way of saying thanks for everything. I hope you enjoy. Hi, it's me, Doodley. I think face reveals are a little silly, so I didn't want to advertise it, but I wanted to put my face out there because it's been available on my website the whole time, and because I accidentally revealed it on stream unboxing my plaque. Look, there's my plaque, and my cringe anime figures. If you can identify any of those anime figures, feel free to make fun of me in the comments. Anyways, I just wanted to do it this way as David, because I wanted to show how much it means to me that people care this much about what I do. The amount of people that have commented and told me that they're learning 3D, learning animation, and being filled with confidence to make stuff, all because of something I created, is something I've never experienced before in my life. I am obsessed with animation, and I felt like there's always been this huge hole with how it's been discussed online. Like people were forgetting that humans make animation. And when you watch something animated, someone's trying to communicate with you in a way that no other medium can. And I always felt like that if I show what goes into making animation, that people learn how those animators are communicating with you and come to understand and respect it more. And the discourse about animation online improves. And my greatest hope is that people like you watching this video right now aren't afraid of animation or 3D or whatever after watching my videos, even if you have never animated in your life and you never plan to, because it means that more people respect animation and the people behind it, and more people are excited to talk about it. My videos are made for the type of person that loves anime, loves cartoons or movies or whatever, and wants to know how they're made, even if they never plan to animate. So if my videos in any way helped you get over that barrier to make animation or appreciate animation, then that's literally all I could hope for. And that's why I'm here. So just to say thank you. Thank you for 100K. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for all the support you guys have given me over this past half a year at this point. I have a million other things I want to do, and I'm excited to show you all the things I have planned. So thank you.